Hello and welcome to Discovering Grays Lake, unveiling the stories and people that make our town so unique. I'm your host, David Wool, and I'm thrilled to bring you this new podcast that explores fascinating stories and experiences of local business owners and community leaders, right here where we call home. Grays Lake Rehabilitation Center is a community-based private practice physical therapy provider. Do you know they have 13 clinical providers with various levels of specialties, including orthopedics, sports, neurology, vestibular, geriatrics, pelvic floor, and aquatic? What? Did I just say they have a pool? Well, they do, and it's the largest indoor warm water pool in Lake County, featuring 2 underwater treadmills and swim currents, and recently added clinical treatment specialties, in layman's terms, shockwave. They have both radial and focus units that are the newest tool in regenerative medicine, available to everyone. They pride themselves on the most current and up-to-date specialized care to keep you moving. If you're looking for physical therapy, make sure to see our friends at Grays Lake Rehabilitation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Discovering Grays Lake. We are recording today from Agora. Agora is a co-working place, if you're not familiar. It is on the corner of Atkinson and Center. Luke over here is fantastic. So if you're looking for somewhere to get your business out of the house for a day, for a week, or even a lifetime home for your business, this is a great option for you. So come check out the folks at Agora. They're super cool. So today, I get Michele Bauman to be with us. She is the Avon Township Supervisor.
Yes.
Wow. It makes you sound very important.
So important.
You are a very important lady, though.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Michele and I have known each other for a long time. I get to see you. You're basically everywhere.
I'm a lot of places.
Yeah, I feel like you're everywhere.
I'm a lot of places.
Yes, from every networking event to all these different events going around all across the area here. How does one get involved with Avon Township and become supervisor? That's what I want to know first.
Volunteering, community involvement. I've always believed in giving back to the community, and I've always been a part of different organizations, especially the Boy Scouts. The Boy Scouts were the first organization that actually gave me my first leadership experience. So I value the Boy Scout program. I've been in it for 18 years, even though my children have aged out, because of the impact that it made on my children and on me. I keep giving back, but that's kind of how I really got into volunteering in Grays Lake.
You know, it's funny you say, because I always talk about volunteering and how important it is for everything to work, right? And for small community, even on a bigger level. But not a whole lot of people do it, right? It's a small amount of the population that do the volunteering.
It's tiny. I actually did the math one time. I don't have the numbers handy. That if everybody volunteered 2 hours a month, it would be in the millions. Just in the Grays Lake area. It's something so simple to do. Right. The amount of money we would save, the impact we would make on a community just by volunteering 2 hours a month is something easy to do. It's just that very few people find the time. Right. If you find that passion for something that you believe in, then hopefully you'll volunteer.
Yeah, and I think the first step is to actually go and do it, because you're going to find like-minded people to go, and you get a lot of satisfaction out of it, right?
It's an understatement of how much satisfaction I get. I also get a lot of satisfaction when I have volunteers come into the township. A lot of times they have no idea the impact that they're going to feel when they see what's happening at the township. Just before I came here, Nature Walk Montessori students were at this school, and we are doing like a Christmas program, and the junior high children, they came and they took all the presents, they put them on the tables, and they decorated the room. And so they get to see, but they also collected presents. So when I do volunteering, I love the youth when they volunteer, when they see the beginning and the ending. It's not so much bringing the presents, but it's having the presents on the table, watching people come in and taking the presents. It's a whole process.
Yes, and very cool. And, I think having them learn that at a young age, volunteering and seeing how everything goes, is going to pay dividends a long way.
I mean, we have volunteers that are 2 years old. If they could put something on our food pantry shelf, they could volunteer. It doesn't have to be perfect. We have seniors. We have, people that come in. People want to make a difference in the community. It's just that they don't always know how. And like my favorite thing is to give tours. If I could give a tour of Avon Township and I could show everything that we do, but it's really not us, it's what the community does. I could rattle on and on and on and on the impact that the community has made to benefit Avon Township.
Wow. Okay, so speaking of that, there's a lot of programs I want to talk about. So jumping right in, when anybody says food pantry, like I think the majority of human beings like live in a place where they don't have to worry about like having enough food, that we're very privileged to have that. And I believe that everybody has the right to have food. And like, how does the community help in that? How does your food pantry work?
So our food pantry is 100% dependent upon the community. Okay. We don't get from grocery stores or restaurants or anything like that. So we rely on people coming in. So we have the schools. Grace Lake Central just did a huge drive for us. We have local businesses. We have churches. We put out sometimes we have a lot of food and we feel wealthy, and there are days that we are so low on food that it's sad. It's really, really sad because people need food every day of the week. Right now we're getting a lot of food because it's holiday season.
Sure.
But right after that, people forget. And when I work with children or work with youth, I try to explain it like this. It's like a grocery store. Sometimes you have a little bit extra to give, and sometimes you need a little bit more. And our food pantry is about dignity. But the thing is, we need to have food. We need to have food to feed the community. And we also have a list that we give to all the people who come to our food pantry, a list of all the other food pantries that we support. Okay. Because we're not the biggest, we're not the mightiest. But with all the other food pantries in our area, we know people are getting fed 7 days a week.
That's fantastic. All right, so I like podcasts that we have points of action for people. So what can I do? What can my neighbors do? How do we support the food pantry today?
Donations. We definitely need people to donate food, especially like protein and cereal and fruits and vegetables and things like that, but also foods that you like. It's about something. How would you feel if you walked into a food pantry? Again, it's kind of like a grocery store, and you saw that item. We had a lady that she was actually homeless, living, staying a little bit in downtown Grays Lake. And I asked her what kind of food she wanted, and she said sardines. Okay, that's kind of like a really, really weird item. And when I went to the food pantry, we actually had a tin of sardines.
Okay.
And I was able to bring that to her. But it's just like we have a lot of different ethnics and a lot of different people. We all have different taste buds.
Sure.
So to get something that you normally couldn't afford as like a specialty is a big deal. But we need to make sure that the children always have, food on their, food in their bellies, and the seniors and people. People are hungry, but it's also not everybody can eat regular food. There are people that are gluten intolerant, people who have health issues and things like that. So we also have a shelf that is more healthy. And so people who can't have a lot of salt in their soup and things like that, we're able to provide those items, but we need food.
We're taking a quick break just to say hello because everybody knows Nano. And Nano knows real estate. And actually, I believe that's the name of her Instagram page. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or know somebody in the market for a home, contact Nano from Baird & Warner. She's a Grays Lake girl helping out Grays Lake people.
We need food. We need people to volunteer. And we also need food that's not expired. I could go into a whole thing about expired food, which we're not going to. But if you are going to donate, look at the labels and make sure it's not expired.
Okay. So most things is I'm thinking of what I have to donate right now, and including looking if it's expired or not and why it's still there. But things are we looking for? Canned goods. Like what is the most thing that we need?
We need canned goods. We also do have freezers and refrigerators, so we can take food. We get food sometimes from farms. We get food from people who have chickens, and they'll give us their eggs. So it's kind of cool. Somebody could walk into my office and I could have 200 eggs. Avon Township is like this magical place because people are always coming in and volunteering, and they're donating, and then it goes right back out to the community. We have a new thing about a year old. It's called the New to Me section. and it's clothing. So instead of people donating to Goodwill, to another organization that's going to make money, people can donate their clothes right to Avon Township, and it gets on the shelf. And it's called New to Me because people don't know if you bought it at a high-end store, a Goodwill, or it was a present, or you just got it off our shelf. When you feel good about yourself because you're wearing something new, or we have people that, clothes don't fit them anymore, sizes vary, and sometimes you need a different outfit. We've had people get jobs. We've had a lot of people get jobs because of the clothing that people bring in, professional clothing. So that's really cool.
Yeah, because I guess people like that would need, if they needed a business suit or just something nice to wear.
A business suit, and sometimes you just need it from one time, or we've had people who go into a funeral or different circumstances or a graduation and things like that, and they're 99% of the time they're just in very casual clothes, but then they have that event or that opportunity where they have to wear something else, and they're just not prepared. And what do? If you can't afford new clothes already, but you want to be presentable, what do? At least at the township, we're able to help you out, or we'll put a message out on Facebook saying that somebody needs something, or children's clothes or something like that. Power of social media, as you know, is huge.
Absolutely. Okay, so with that, another action item, where can they follow so that we get these updates so we can help out? What is the page called for Facebook?
So they could go to Avon Township, or they could go to Avon Township Supervisor Michele Bauman. So 2 Facebook pages. Mine is more kind of telling people what's going on or things that I'm doing, and the Avon Township page has a lot more of our events and information, because we work with so many different agencies and organizations. You got to kind of pay attention to what's going on.
Sure, I bet. Okay, so thank you so much for that, because I think the food pantry, the clothing, is there anything else for underprivileged? Like something about, you did something for Halloween too, right? You had Halloween
costumes. We have Halloween. We collected over 300 costumes for children, which is absolutely amazing. Because imagine the memories that you have when your child was wearing it, and then your child grows up, and that opportunity for another parent to see the same costume, knowing that it's going to somebody else. On Friday, we just did a coat drive. We had over 400 coats that were collected by Round Lake High School students out of their honors civics engagement class. And we did it was a classroom. They had to figure out how they were going to market it, how they were going to get it out to the local businesses. I know the Grace Lake Park District helped, and we had multiple organizations, so over 400 coats were there. So in the morning, the line was already out the door at 8 a.m. before we even opened up, people waiting to get coats.
That's how bad they need them.
That's how bad people need it, and it's hard to imagine people getting there really, really early. During the election, we also have a mobile food pantry where through community action partners, and that normally starts around 9 o'clock. We had to change the time because of early voting, and we had people there at 6 a.m., before 6 a.m., waiting 2 hours to get food, and that's common. Wow. For people to get up and just sit in their car knowing that if I don't get there early, there's not going to be food for my family. I mean, these are things that we face every day that the average person doesn't even see. That's why I love giving tours, because if you come to the township, not only do you have the opportunity to see what we do, but you get a better understanding of all the services and agencies that we have to support the community.
Right. That's amazing. Thank you for what you're doing. I think it's fantastic. And I think most people don't realize that, or maybe turn a blind eye to how we do have people in need that live very close to us.
Very well. Also, the Grace Lake area, let's talk about that. There are a lot of people that are struggling. There are a lot of situations that people never imagined that they would be going through. Maybe they lose a job, they lose a spouse, something's going on with their children, or now they have a bigger family because their parents moved in or whatever. People struggle in Grace Lake. Even though my office the Avon Township is in Round Lake Park, it's just over the border of Haynesville Road. Right. It's for Grace Lake residents, and sometimes I do struggle because sometimes people think that Grace Lake doesn't have problems, or they're not struggling with food or clothing or jobs or things like that. We could help people. As I explain to people, we're like a hub, And people come to us when they don't know where else to go to, and we can send them in 100 different ways. But unless I get people into my building, then they don't know about our resources. We have a medical lending closet where we have wheelchairs and walkers and canes and all this medical equipment, where if you can't afford a wheelchair or your insurance isn't working, you come to the township. People donate, but also we need to make sure that other people realize it's there for them too, and there's no charge. Everything we do at Avon Township, it's free for the community.
Wow. Okay, so you said how you like giving these tours. So I want to tell you two stories that you probably don't even know how these relate to me.
I don't.
So I heard one story. I was at the Grays Lake Park District. I was at doing the music and the DJ for the Halloween walk or whatever we call it, right? So I was talking to Tracy over there, and she's like, oh, you can use this generator here to plug in for TJ equipment. And she looked at me, she goes, do you have any idea what Avon Township has? Like, these generators, like, we couldn't do this event with these things here without your help. And I looked at her, and so she told me about her tour. So tell me about generators to start with.
So we have flood mitigation equipment. We have fans and wet vacs and dehumidifiers, and we also have generators. If there's a disaster in Avon Township, we are prepared. We have a lot of them. We're also able to help like restaurants and businesses stay alive if they lose power. The Round Lake Area Fire Department has 24-hour access to our equipment. But those generators, if there is actually a disaster, they're not going to go to the restaurants, they're not going to go to the businesses, they're not going to go to the homes. They are for medical emergencies. We have a lot of people in our community who are dependent upon oxygen or other devices. And if they have no power, their life is on the line. And so what we're able to do is give out those generators. Again, it's free of charge. And so we have people who've had those situations where not all of Avon Township has been in a disaster like 2017, but when your block loses power for 24 hours and you are dependent upon a medical device, you could come to the township and we're going to give that to you. We're going to help set it up. We're going to give you the gas that you need to make sure that you're good to go. And we haven't had to yet, but the same thing if it happens to another community. We're not going to keep our flood mitigation equipment in the garage, nice and safe. We're going to make sure it goes out to the other townships and villages that need support.
Hey neighbors, this is Bill Mock with the Grays Lake Chamber of Commerce. And if you're looking for a network of hard-working, customer-focused, and generally friendly local businesses who are dedicated to helping each other succeed, then I'd like to invite you to check out and consider joining our Grays Lake Chamber. We offer our members so many ways to advance their businesses through social networking events, special event sponsorships, informative lunch and learns, and the ever-popular after-hours mixers. Come see why we say we're the new wave of business here in Lake County.
That's amazing. And who would know that? And that's why I loved when you and I were talking. I said, I want to have Michele on because I was totally ignorant to so many services that we're going to learn more about. But it's amazing to see those things are there because if somebody has an elderly parent or somebody that's dependent on those, what do you do if that happens? Like, at least if they know that there's a safety net or something like that. It's great information to have.
And I mean, it's also money. Let's talk about it. How many people could go get a fan or a wet vac or dehumidifier or even rent one? They're expensive, but knowing that we have them at the township, it just eases people's mind. We're 24 hours a day. So if somebody does need access, they're able to get a hold of me and I'll meet with them.
It's crazy because I think everybody, especially at 50 years old, like I am, I know I don't look a day over 49.
If that.
But when everybody's gotten that phone call that a neighbor, a friend in need, like the basement's flooded. They don't have the fans. They don't have the shop vacs. Who can help me with this? Who can do this? And it's always a mad dash of whether they're running and spending hundreds of dollars on something or just trying to find somebody in need.
So one thing is really important is, again, social media. So even like the Grays Lake forum, of some of those social media pages, people will post a situation. And if I miss it, I have people who will contact me and say, hey, so-and-so needs this, or this is what's going on. I just had one on Sunday, and there was somebody who needed food, but she lost her transportation. And she had 2 little kids, and she had to move out to somebody else's place, still in the Avon Township area. And so on Sunday, I brought her food, and I put a couple little toys in there and things like that, because it was posted on social media, and people were like, I could do this, or go to this, go to that. But the thing is, if her kids are hungry,
yes,
it was fast enough for me just to go to a township, grab some food, and she wanted macaroni and cheese. She wanted, cereal, the very bread, the very basic items. She asked for nothing special, just enough food to make sure that her kids, it wasn't about her, it was about her children having food.
Wow, that's super sad. And super rewarding job that you have as well. And
I have the best job. I have the best job because I try to explain it to people. You guys can't see my finger. But I see all the good that goes on in Avon Township. Even when things kind of go astray, there's always people there to help. It's a 24-hour emergency shelter for whether it's heat or when the weather gets really, really cold. And last year we had 15 people that stayed at Avon Township, which was amazing. And they weren't just Avon Township. They came from Waukegan. They came from different areas because we are listed as a Lake County emergency shelter. Except for I wasn't prepared. I was actually coming back from Texas. I was prepared but not prepared. And we put the word out, and instantly we had Shepherds of the Lakes Church, UPC Church. People came and brought blankets. We had the mattresses. We had all the equipment. We had food. One lady brought blessing bags that contain like toothpaste and toothbrushes and things like that. But because we have a food pantry, we have a microwave. That's the only thing we have in our kitchen. We were able to make them raviolios. We were able to make them a little bit of some hot food. They watched some movies. But it was because the community, I put something out there, and instantly they came. And so right now I'm in the process of, we're going to have 15 mattresses, because now that PADS is no longer at Shepherds of the Lakes or the UPC Church. They have extra mattresses and pillows and things like that. So they're going to be giving them to us. So now we will have, when those emergency cold or hot days occur, people will have a place to go. What do you do if you don't have family and relatives and you have no heat and it's freezing outside and you don't know where to go to? We had a family that came to our shelter last year. They didn't stay the whole night, but they spent a few hours late at night waiting for them to get transportation, for them to go to someplace else, just knowing that your own community, there are places and resources to go to.
Right, and that's wonderful. Yeah, and again, it's one of those things that like everybody needs to know about, because I'm learning like so much, and you're right around the corner. Like, this is for our community. All right, let's talk about some other things, because I know that we made a list of things, because we want to make sure that we don't miss anything. Sounds like those like really like human services that you guys are doing to take care of people and the things that they need. So, before we go any further, too, I want to tip my hat to you, because Election Day and the days leaving up the early voting and everything, I know everybody was like, oh, my God, we got to wait. Okay, what was the longest wait that we had?
4 hours.
4 hours?
4 hours. That was the last day. 4 hours. I got done around 11. The people who were doing the paperwork and the counting, however, they have to do that. They didn't get out until after 12 o'clock.
I pulled in there and I looked around and I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck is happening? This is crazy.
It was probably one of the most amazing experiences for me, being patriotic and seeing how many people from all over Lake County came to vote, and they were patient. They made friends. They were considerate of each other. It was true America in the finest way, because Avon Township is the closest government to the people. So as I said before, when people don't know where to go for help, they come to us, because we could also work with state and we work with federal services. We work with Laura Diaz on the state, but we also have Brett Schneider's office is in our office every week, providing resources. We have Senator Mary Edley Allen. They have a table once a month, because we can provide a space. And instead of being able to pick up that phone and you're not sure who you're talking to, right, actually talking to a person. We have so many different agencies that come into our office. We have Community Action Partners uses our space. We have hospice that uses our space, because if my office or the township if it's not being used, if it's just an empty building.
Okay.
My job is to have so many things in it all the time that I,
You're staying busy.
It's staying busy 7 days a week.
Wow. Okay, that's incredible. So the voting experience was a good one.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Didn't we I think we talked that I think that I should DJ out there in the next 4 years. We should just have something fun that people could do. We sell corn dogs and DJs.
That's what people said. Where are the food trucks?
Right.
And we could have music, and we could do things
Is
like
that legal?
that.
Can we do that?
I don't know. We'll have to talk. We'll have to find out, because I don't know. But 4 hours, even an hour, is a long time to wait. People, it was like reunions. People were dating, I believe, you know what I mean? Because you have that amount of time, and so you start making those relationships.
Right.
And it really, really was such an amazing experience. The line was so long, we had to recreate the flow.
Right.
So the very last day, you started off on one side of the parking lot, and then you had to go all the way around the building so you think you're in. And then you go into our room called Gage's Hall, which is named after the first township supervisor. Then you go into our medical lending closet area, and then you go into our little tiny food pantry, and then you make it into another hallway, because we had to figure out how to get everybody in, plus with the weather and the rain. So
wow.
It was an adventure for people.
It should be like Great America, where you have the sign said, it's 2 hours from this point.
Oh, wait, tap that off. We did, so when we were in Gage's Hall, we did the snake. We snaked it too.
Oh, no. And, it is fun to watch people that are patient, right? And you saying that people are patriotic, nobody would stand in line for 4 hours. I won't stand 4 hours for anything.
But they did.
But people do, right? And they stood, and that shows. I didn't wait that long. I came back at a different time. But to have that, it really shows a lot about the integrity of everybody. That really, how important it was for them to come out and vote.
Honestly, it was such a good feeling to know that Avon Township was. It was hometown America. That's the only way I could describe it. Hometown.
How many people did you see that day?
I knew a lot of people. I knew a lot of people. A lot of people knew me. At times, I was trying to entertain people and making jokes and things like that, because you have to find the humor in waiting in line. We're
all in the same boat, right? Might as well have fun with it.
And it wasn't even so much the voting, because everyone was going to vote, but 4 years from now, they're going to talk about coming to Avon Township and their crazy experience waiting to vote 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is, because it's everyone's right to vote. And it was just, the format was a little bit different, but it worked.
That's great. And once again, it takes a lot of people, all those volunteers that came out to do that too. How many volunteers came out for voting days?
Not as many as we
needed,
because we didn't know what to imagine. We actually thought certain days we're going to be busy, and then it just kept getting busier and busier and busier. We had cars parked on our grass. We had cars everywhere.
Yeah. Well, the parking lot was crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, they can do this. There's a lot of things going on here. All right, so let's jump to a couple other things. What do you want? I know that you're very passionate about these. Tell me some of your other programs or things that your heart's really in.
My heart is really about the volunteers. I love when people come into my office and they have ideas for new programs. We have yoga twice a week that's free.
Really?
And they've done probably over 300 classes. So every Wednesday, 5:30 to 6:30, and yoga 7:30. Or on Saturdays, it's from 10:30 to 11:30. Free yoga classes. We have art classes. We have senior programs. We have cooking classes, and these are all coming through either other agencies or volunteering. People just come in and they want to help. We do programs with the high schools where they're teaching the seniors how to use technology, because who knows better how to use technology than seniors do.
Yes.
I always give people, especially the high school students and junior high students, opportunities to make a difference in not just their life, but in somebody else's life, but they have to figure out how. And so I'll meet with them. and we'll figure out what they want to do. And I had one lady, or I guess she was in high school, and she wasn't sure if she wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
And I met her when she was volunteering, dressing up as children's characters at my other life. I'll explain that later. And, I always say, hey, if you want to get back to your community, meet with me and let's talk. And so she taught art classes. And she was a great, great teacher. But she taught art classes for children that probably would never be able to afford classes. And one of the boys, they were doing vision boards, and he wanted some famous soccer player. It was really cool. He was making like a stadium. And I'm like, do you play soccer? Are you part of a soccer team? And he's like, no. He's like, my mom can't afford it. I'll probably never play soccer until I'm in high school. And I'm like, okay. And then I met another organization, and they provide resources and funding for youth to be able to play soccer. And every time I go out, the more agencies I meet, the more people I'm able to connect with, like University of Illinois Chicago, University of Illinois Extension. They do cooking classes and all these great, great classes. And it's not cooking classes that are basic. They're teaching them how to use knives and cut and make meals. We have classes where people are learning how to cook with items that are typically found in a food pantry. There's sewing classes, there's fitness classes for seniors. I could go on and on and on and on. And it's nothing that I do except for connecting with people and saying, again, come for a tour. What talent, what skills do you have? I had a gentleman who actually, through the voting, when I was talking, wanted to come back and do tutoring for GEDs. And then somebody walked in and said, I need help with my algebra. And I'm like, oh, I have somebody for you. It's almost like not kind of like magic, I guess, because when something happens, we find a way. I talk a lot, so please stop me.
Oh, no,
anytime. This is another good story that I've told a couple times. We got over 200 free taffy apples.
Okay.
And we get free stuff all the time. Wait until I tell you about Shoesapalooza. And so this lady came in for taffy apples. And so I was giving her taffy apples, and she was telling me about her daughter with special needs. And I gave her some resources, shining abilities where her daughter could get help because she was aging out of the educational program. And then in the meantime, she leaves and she goes in the hallway and she sees a wheelchair and she's questioning about it. And somehow between the time that she came into the office, somebody donated a wheelchair and her daughter needed a new wheelchair. And I'm like, just take it. Wow. And so she came in for taffy apples, but she left with a wheelchair. People come in for one thing and they leave with different resources, not just for themselves or somebody else. A really crazy one was we had a gentleman that his shoe business was closed down in the Round Lake area, and he's been storing his shoes, and that costs a lot of money and things like that. So he offered us some shoes, and we're like, okay, we'll take them. He had over 1,000 shoes, brand new women's and children's shoes, and so we set up a Shoesapalooza. So we turned it into a store where we had to go through all the sizes and whether it's children's. And there's a lot of children's sizes between toddlers and all of the women's sizes and things like that. And we had hundreds of people show up to get brand new pairs of shoes. You might think it's crazy, but to have brand new pairs of shoes or be able to get a pair of shoes for your child. I had this one dad, he came in with this little, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years old, and they were getting shoes. And he's like, do you like these? Do you like these? Aww. But the best part was watching the owner of the shoe store seeing that his own community was benefiting from something that wasn't so great that happened to him, but he knew the impact that was being made, and that was so we called it Shoesapalooza.
That's fantastic.
So much fun. We always have like crazy things that happen to us. We had probably 40 or 50 this past Halloween kits, to cut the pumpkin carving,
Yes.
but we had no pumpkins. Guess what? Pumpkins magically appeared. And we were able to do a pop-up, Halloween jack-o'-lantern event.
Wow.
We don't, in our office, we don't think, like, what are all the steps to make this happen? Our philosophy is we're going to make it happen. We got to figure out when we're going to do it, and then we almost backstep it.
Sure.
Because if we stay on the steps for so long, it's never going to happen. We're just like, let's go do it.
I think I would get along really well there. You just jump in with both feet. You don't really know how it's going to. This is what we have to do. Now we'll just figure out how to do it, right?
And I have a lot of strengths, and I also have a lot of challenges, weaknesses that are, I'm not the most organized person. But the thing is, I have people who volunteer who have come into our office, and they see that. And that is skills that they have. They love organizing. They love helping out where they're good at because they get self-satisfaction knowing that it's a skill that they have. When we were putting our New to Me section together, we had a lot of clothes, and it was all over the place. And I had people come in, and they love to organize.
See,
it was actually like soothing for them.
Right.
Soothing. We have like 20+ thousand Easter eggs in our office.
Oh, my goodness.
And we do giant Easter egg hunts, and we get donations of presents. We have a library now for people, they get to keep the books. And I reached out to the Grays Lake Public Library, and now they give us all of their extra books. And it's not just books for kids. We have a lot of people who come to Avon Township. English is not their first language. And I had these gentlemen from Ukraine that kept taking children's books. And I'm like, why you keep taking the books? And he's like, because this is how we learn to read. I take the books back to our community, our people, our families. And once we learn how to read basic books, we could read adult books and get jobs. And don't get me started with jobs. I mean, that's one of our like big things too, is finding people jobs, and not just jobs, but careers, ways for them to better their lives.
Wow. Holy cow. All right, before we talk more of that, we're going to take a pause
okay.
for a second. Because it amazes me. Seriously, like all of these things, and you say you can go on and on. But I do love that all of this is people getting together to help people. And this is true community of helping. And once again, folks, if you volunteer, I think it's one of the most important things because it'll enrich your life as better. Maybe you'll fill that gap in something that you need in your life, right? So, Michele, you listen to any podcasts?
I have.
Sure you have. What was your favorite one then?
Jody.
Really?
Yeah, I like Jody's a lot because Jody is a lot like me, kind of like bubbly and kind of out there a little bit. Sorry, Jody.
You guys both are bubbly and out there.
Yes. And
that's you guys.
And I met Jody when she was assistant principal at Frederick. And
we're talking about Jody Sinkmarsh.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And I listen to different podcasts and things like that. Also because of the people that I know.
Correct.
People that I know, you kind of want to listen to them, and then there's other people that you kind of learn about. So I do. Surprise.
Good. I'm happy. I'm flattered, actually. So you'll know that we take a pause about halfway through, and we do our Grays Lake hot seat.
Yes.
All right. So Grays Lake, we're going to get to know a little bit more about Michele.
That's the part I was probably stressing the most about. Because the first thought that comes into your head, you're supposed to sit.
It's not that bad. Actually, you know what? I think that I have. You might be my. Yeah, we're going to try some new ones.
Okay, good.
Because that way, if you practice, then you're totally screwed. So we're going to go a different way. The Grays Lake Hot Seat is brought to you by Joe Velez at JPV Financial. It's often said that those who fail to plan are planning to fail. Joe Velez and his team at JPV Financial create unique financial plans that address some of the most difficult challenges that people might face as they get older. No matter what stage of life you're in, having a proactive financial plan can help navigate some of the difficult decisions you'll face, helping you live your life by design, not default. Securities and investment advisory service offered through Osaic Wealth Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Now for the Grays Lake Hot Seat. Hey, thanks, Joe. Some of these are very random, so we're just giving these a first try on you.
Okay, I think randomly anyways.
All right. How does someone impress you?
by their personality, the way they present themselves is instantly. I have that feeling. It just kind of, their energy comes to me.
I like that because usually you can look at somebody and get a pretty good read on
Yeah.
the energy that they're putting off, whether it's good or bad.
Good or bad, but you could feel it.
Exactly. All right. What is, do you have something that's on the top of a bucket list for you, something you really like to do?
Actually, my bucket list changed.
Oh.
Yeah. From what I thought I want to go to Australia. I want to travel. I want to be more than I already am, which is kind of weird as a bucket list. But I think I want more in myself. I want to figure out what the next step is, in my job. So my bucket list is really about continuing doing what I'm doing.
I love it. That's good because we're never really done, right?
Nope.
And if there's things you want to do. All right. So then if your life was a story or a movie, what would the title be?
Look at her from this to that. I guess something like that.
Yeah.
Because, I never imagined myself where I am now. And it's good and it's bad.
And that's what I was going to say. Hopefully that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? Nice. But we never know where life leads us, right?
No.
And the things that we do, and we stick and move and pivot, and you never know where your life goes. Just embrace it and just keep moving forward,
I'm
right?
enjoying it.
I think that's the only way to do it. Who would you want to be on a desert island with?
Oh, somebody who knows how to do things.
I'm out.
Because honestly, I'm a connector, and I'm really good at connecting people and getting people to help me out. But if you know me, I lack skills. I was in charge of a Guinness Book of World Record, and I had the certificate and everything like that. It was for the world's longest Pima Derby track, the Boy Scouts, and it was made out of wood. I have no skills except for I do have the people who I can bring with me. So I'm going to bring all these people with me.
I think
and
that's
we're going to rebuild a new community.
I think that's a good way to do it. Say, I don't know how to do things, but I know people.
Right.
Yeah, I don't claim to really know anything, but just have good friends, make connections. Oh, wow, this is a fun one. I haven't read these in a long time. If you were going to win an Olympic gold medal, what would it be in?
Speed talking nonstop, something like that probably, or energy.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the last thing you Google searched?
I Google searched probably it was Blue Star Mothers Group. I did that earlier today. So my daughter is in the military.
Yes, I just saw one of your Facebook posts.
Yeah, so she's in the military, and once a month I go to a Blue Star Mothers Group, and it's in Wisconsin. And someone asked me what town it was in, and it's off of VFW, right off the highway in Wisconsin, but I didn't know the exact location, and so it was, yeah.
Wow. So Blue Star Mothers Group, is that moms of?
It's moms that have mothers or have children in the military, or stepchildren, or they've aged out. It's all about experience, because when Madeline just first started, that she was even talking about joining the military, being a non-military family, I had so many questions. And I was at Summer Days actually, and a lady who I was acquaintance with, we weren't even like friends, came up to me at Summer Days, and she invited me to a Blue Star Mothers Group. And now Celeste is one of my really good close friends, and she didn't have to. She did not have to do that, but her son is serving, and a little bit older, and that's again back with connections.
Yeah.
She didn't have to do that. She wasn't like best buddies with me, but she did because of that connection, that she could help me.
Right. And I'll go back to you get what you give.
Yeah.
Right? Just random weird things start to happen the more good that you do for other people. All right. What kind of music do you listen to?
80s.
Really? All right.
I'm stuck in the 80s.
Are you a street smarts girl or book smarts?
I'm going to say community smart. I think if I was in Chicago, I would be lost and have no idea how to get my way. Book smart, I'm smart with the topics that I pick, but I wouldn't say again. I'm academically smart, and I don't think you have to be it just depends on, who you are.
Absolutely. Okay, so do you have a hidden talent?
Do I have a hidden talent?
Or something that people don't know about you that you're very skilled in?
Skilled in. I'm not a good cook. I'm not a good artist.
Not what you're not good at. Yeah, you know what you're good at? You're good at entertaining with children.
Yeah, I'm good at entertaining. I went to clown college, so everybody knows that.
Right.
And so that was really fun. I spoke at a World National Clown Convention. So I do a lot of, I know, so I do a lot of.
I'm shaking my head, that's why she's laughing at me right now.
So I don't know if it's a talent as much as I take something from nothing, and I don't think I even have to have much, and I can make it into something. I'm not good at following directions, so not give me anything that takes more than 3 or 4 steps. But I think my skill or my talent is just creating something using my imagination. And again, it is what it is, and that's probably one of my great skills.
Right. I think that your skill is knowing what your skills are.
Oh, and I know what they aren't. And I know what they aren't. Actually, somebody made a joke about that. They were saying, "Oh, Michele, you're this and that." And then I'm like, "Well, no, I have a lot of skills. I'm not so." And then Jeannie, one of my trustees, she laughed. She's like, "Yeah."
But that's fun.
But that's
like
okay.
That. Okay, so I'm not going to dwell on it, but I have to know because I know somebody else is listening like me going, okay, clown college?
College.
Like how does that happen in your life is that an application you filled out? Can you go back to that moment?
No, it was because my college internship didn't want me because my degree is in a bachelor's in science in leadership nonprofit management called American Humanics. So I was destined to be working with nonprofit agencies and things like that because I've always believed in volunteerism. This is back in the 90s, they wanted a secretary, and I am dyslexic and I am dysgraphic, so paperwork is not my greatest thing to do, and they wanted a secretary. So they had this great idea to send me to McDonald's and sell entertainment books. You remember those really thick coupon books?
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, so I'm selling them in McDonald's, and the McDonald's Corporation actually discovered me.
Really?
Yes. And they hired me to be like a Mrs. McDonald's I had like a big Letterman like sweatshirt or like sweater with a big M. And my job was just to be friends with people, go around. This is back in the early 90s.
This is awesome.
and just talk to people, just actually have that one-on-one conversation and help them out. And through that, I met a lady who was a clown. And then I'm still living at home, and I'm 20-something years old. I'm like, I want to go to clown college. My parents are like, okay. And through that, I actually started my own children's entertainment company. And when I first started going back into the hospitals and things like that, besides making money, I'm a professional clown, and I love it. I teach balloon animals. This past year, I went to Woodview, and I was teaching balloon animals for all the children. I used to do that for the other schools too.
Wow,
yeah,
that's fantastic. I am very impressed by you with the way that it seems like everything you're doing, you're giving service back to other people, enriching people's lives, making them smile, making them happy, and finding the ways to do it. Whether it's I like that you don't have a big plan with all these, but your goal seems very simple, is to help others.
I mean, I'm going to go back to my office. I'm going to see like what just came in.
Right.
It's we never know, and then we got to figure out how we're going to use it, or somebody's going to come into our office and they want to volunteer.
Right.
So I do use my skills. Like I can make a balloon animal. Speaking to Avon Township Supervisor at an event where you have a table with flyers, isn't that exciting? But I make a little balloon animal, and I'm at a school function, and I have all the children come up to me because they want a balloon animal, and that gives me 30 seconds to talk to the parents about what Avon Township is and to give them flyers. Or when I do have the high school students, they're volunteering at events and doing things like that. It makes me human. I was at the Round Lake Park District holiday event on Saturday. Days blend together.
Amen.
And one of my volunteers did not show up, actually, too. But I ended up dressing up for 2 hours as Bluey and as a minion and things like that because I had no volunteers and the show must go on. But the best part was I was engaging with little tiny children as if I was Bluey and they're telling me stories and the minions, they're having conversations with me. I got to engage and actually enjoy that event because I wasn't the one next to the character talking to the parents.
Most people have no idea what to do with their aging loved one who needs help. Well, there is a solution. A company that provides care and assistance to make your loved one feel right at home. At Right at Home, their mission statement is to improve the quality of life for those they serve. They offer extensive services: personal and companion care, safety supervision and transportation, fall prevention, dressing and bathing assistance, medical reminders, meal prep, hospice support, ambulation support, stroke recovery, Parkinson's support. The list goes on and on and on. If you have an aging loved one that needs help, call Right at Home. Most people prefer to age in their home rather than moving to an assisted living or nursing home. Right at Home can make this happen. Contact Right at Home at rightathomennlc.com or give them a call, 847-984-0103. Now back to the show.
My job was to be Bluey and shake my tail and do the banana.
I bet that was really cool.
It was really cool because I always, I'm always thinking the people who volunteer, especially and my children too. Oh my gosh, they volunteer a lot. But to be that character, you forget about that because I don't normally dress up anymore because being a government official, you don't think about dressing up and,
sure.
taking
I think
photos.
more of them should.
I think so too.
Yes.
My heart was going because they were telling me like stories and giving me hugs and they were like following me around. So I do have the best job, even though at that event I wasn't doing anything except for dressing up for those little kids and those families. They took photos and they met their little childhood hero at the moment.
Sure.
And so much gratitude. So much gratitude out of that.
That's really cool. And to step outside to see a different side of it.
Yes, or very little vision, but yes.
Right. And I guess that with that, too, you have very little vision.
Very little
It'd be cool to
vision.
have a video camera inside of there and see all these little kids and record what they're saying. Like, it must be so cute.
It is so cute. It really is because they believe. They believe, and they're asking me where, Bluey's sister is, and they're asking me all these questions and, things like that.
That's awesome.
It's fun.
Okay, once again, yeah, as a government official, a lot of people might have just been pissed that their volunteers didn't show up and who would end up doing it, but you just jump in.
I just jumped in, and I was kind of, walking around. I hit a couple things here and there because, they're like, where did Michele go? Eventually they quickly figured it out because how can, I not do, how could I not do that?
Right.
And I did bring joy because those little kids got to see their little characters. And so it was a fun event.
Right. And great leadership, by the way. Lead by example and say, and really, you just can't take yourself that seriously, right? Nobody's more important to do. And it's funny the things you get joy out of. Like, that was an awesome moment for you.
So
right?
much joy. When people meet me in person or on social media or through the podcast, who I am is what they get, whether they, however they meet me. I am who I am, and that makes me who I am.
Yes, for sure. So, okay, let's jump back in because I know that we have some other things that I want to hear more about that we maybe just touched on. Also, you're a member of the Exchange Club?
Yes, right now I'm the president.
You're the
president of the Grace Lake Exchange Club.
I was going to ask you what you do in your free time, but apparently there is none, right?
No. I mean, but something, I love what I do, and I was in Exchange before I was Township Supervisor. I'm on different boards. I'm on the board for the Boy Scouts. I'm on different boards because I've been a part of them or volunteering before I even became a government, official. And it's fun. Again, you go to Summer Days, you go to some of these events, and you get to see the community, but you also know that you're making money to help support organizations that's going to benefit our community. How can you say no?
Absolutely right. Right. Tell us, because I didn't know a lot about it, but I know a little more now. Just give us a short, what is the Exchange Club? What do they stand for? What does the Exchange Club do?
So the Exchange Club is about service work. It's about Americanism. It's about taking care of the youth, helping the youth. It's just an organization that really believes in taking care of your community and giving back. Once a month, we have students from the Grays Lake North, Grays Lake Central, students who have submitted an application, and we get to hear about who they are and what they're doing in school and what their future is. And these kids are, on the higher end of the ones that are doing everything. And at the end, there's an award through locally, and then they go on to like state and national. But we also have an award called the ACE Award, and that's for students that have overcome something, overcome a struggle and things like that. Awards are not always about the best of the best of the best, because there are so many people that are struggling through so many different situations. And when you hear those stories of things that they've overcome, sometimes it's even more than all the achievements that somebody else has, received.
Right.
So it's a great organization. We meet every Thursday at 12 o'clock at First Draft. I would love for anybody who wants to come to be my guest and learn more about our group. We always have special guests that come in from the community or through Lake County, and your life will be changed when you see and you hear all these organizations.
Yeah, a very, very cool group. And, you're talking about the awards. It was really fun, satisfying to me walking in. We were setting up for an event at First Draft, and you guys were just finishing a meeting. I think it's the day that all the kids came and talked at these nominations. These grown men and women are like blown away by how these kids are so brilliant and so great at what they do. Like, everybody was in awe.
Blown away is an understatement, because in their short amount of time in life, they have done so much, and they have volunteered, or they've done these amazing extracurricular activities, or they soared in, a club or things like that. We need to highlight those people, and those are our future. We just have to keep letting people know there's so many opportunities. You might like baseball, you might like this or that. Find something that you're passionate about. And when we hear those students talk, they're passionate about whatever they're doing, and that should go for people who are our age, who are in their 50s or older or younger. Find that passion, and you could change the world, and that's what these kids are doing.
Right. And how much of a difference does it make when, no matter what you're doing, if it's something you love, you get 300% more
so much
into
more.
It, right?
So much more.
Because you forget that it's actually work.
Yes.
Everything you're actually doing it, which is fun. All right, so let's talk about some other. My favorite thing out of today is you dressing up like Bluey. I may have nightmares tonight, but that's okay.
I'll show you a picture when we're off camera.
I think we'll have that as the podcast photo. Is just Bluey, and then they'll have to figure out that it's you.
So we do a lot of like Eagle Scout projects, again, because of Boy Scouts. One of our really cool ones, we have an outdoor educational classroom. And this class is just a stage, and it's big, and it's in the back of the township. And last year was one of the top projects in the nation.
In the nation? Wow.
Kevin O'Keefe. Yay, Kevin.
Wow.
In the nation. And now we have picnic tables, and we have like a community garden. We have a homeschool. We have a homeschool where kids who don't fit in the traditional setting come to Avon Township, and they get to go to school for one day. It's more social because they're being homeschooled. But that came about the same time, the outdoor educational classroom, and to be able to see the students doing their campaigns for presidents and secretary and things like that, using the stage. I do like day camps, and I do different things like that. So we have like the Girl Scouts use the stage for their bridging and different opportunities, and it's because this scout built an outdoor educational classroom, and we had the community come out and volunteer. There was a mom, her daughter must have been probably 7, 8 years old, using a drill. A mother was teaching her daughter how to use a drill. Her daughter wasn't watching. Her daughter was using the drill. this is how things happen. I had no idea who they were. We put it out on social media saying, hey, we need help building, and people come. And it's about doing. It's not just about watching.
Fascinating. All right, and speaking of that, using and learning by doing, you guys were just featured on what news channel was it?
WGN.
So it was WGN. It was just a couple of weeks ago before this recording.
Yes.
And it was about welding,
It was
right?
welding. There's a welding program that I heard about a year and a half ago, maybe even longer now. It was just one of those fluky things. Somebody came into our office, and she was talking about, we're always about getting people jobs. And she brought up this welding program on a trailer, and it comes on a semi, and I'm like, I want it. I want it really, really, really bad for Avon Township. And I didn't let go about it. So the last 2 years, this trailer has been in prison in Cook County and another location, helping over 200 inmates get a career in welding. So when they get out of prison, they don't have to go back to their same life. And I got a phone call saying that if I was still interested in having the welding program, Avon Township could have it. And so tomorrow we actually have our first group of 8 students that are going to be receiving their certification in welding, and then they go on a national program. So they're actually welding at the township inside the trailer.
So cool.
It's 150 hours, and then they're going to be able to work with Lake County Workforce, which is going to help place them in a job. So it's not just getting the certification. They are going to get jobs. They're going to get careers. And I think the most impactful moment I had was I had a table at Beach School in Round Lake, and one of the students came up to me with his family to say thank you. And so it's not just the students. It is students, and they have a family, and they have children. And so now this dad is going to be able to find a job, a career that's going to benefit his family. And this program is free. It's a $7,000 per student. But between the First Management Institute and Lake County Workforce, they came up with a deal. I had the location. We have Round Lake High School students, sophomores, coming out in January, so they could see the program and they could figure out whether this is something they want to do for the technology campus when they're juniors and seniors. Maybe this is something that they want to do. It is opportunities. I'm all about the trades. I'm all about people getting, better opportunities for themselves. And this trailer is phenomenal. Yeah, WGN, they came out. They did like 7 segments on it, and our phones were ringing off the hook. The First Institute Management, their phones were ringing off the hook. I can't even talk anymore. I'm so excited. It's because it's changing lives. And so I love this welding trailer, and I could have put it anywhere in the township. I put it right in the front. It's on Washington Road, so any car that comes by, that's how we got the Round Lake High School students involved, because one of the administrators was, driving back to work and saw the trailer and said, does anybody know anybody in Avon Township? And I work well with the Round Lake School District, and they're like, yep. And so that is happening. So again, I'm going to keep saying this over and over again because it's the message.
Right.
It's community involvement, people volunteering, people coming in and helping. Things just incredibly happen. And then after break, we're going to have another 8 students that are going to get certified in welding. And they're all Avon Township. They're all our local people. So 16 people are going to have careers because this lady came in for another reason. It's awesome. It's just amazing.
I love your passion for this. That's fantastic. And I love the outreach, whether we're helping kids out who don't have enough food or families, but the outreach to help people, give them the tools and give them things to get them jobs, right? That's a huge thing that people could, if they look for the help. So if somebody is looking for jobs, you guys can help them.
Yes. I mean, we also have people that are homeless going through domestic situations. We have people that come into our office, and there's things that you can't even imagine. And I think one of the saddest stories is a mother came in, her husband was sexually abusing all 3 of her children. And she came in for new mattresses and so that her children were not sleeping on the same mattresses that their dad was abusing them. And so we contacted Mother's Trust, another organization. And, again, they didn't even flinch.
Right.
Instantly, they were able to get new mattresses. We work with so many different organizations that when something happens, we could connect them to different people. We have an organization called Willow House that comes once a month. Again, this is another group you don't want to be a part of unless you lost a child or a parent. And what this group does, they meet once a month in Avon Township. So children and parents or grandparents, depending on the situation, there's a support group for them right in our own community so that people can, get help.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's just
that's powerful.
There's so much. There's just so much because I'm a yes person. We will find the space. We were right now we have the Christmas presents in one room, and now we have to alter the room a little bit. My office, where actually my office space was used yesterday for another organization. So I think I'm going to be moving myself out of my office so that we have more space to put another organization in because I could be anywhere at any time. I have a laptop.
Right.
I have my stuff is locked, so I don't, that I don't have to worry about. But if I could bring another organization in that's going to benefit the people.
It's huge.
It's huge.
Right.
It's huge. And as just giving me this opportunity today to talk to the people about Avon Township, and please come for a tour, is so helpful and impactful because you are a huge messenger for the people.
Right.
And I'm so grateful for the opportunity that you're giving me.
Oh, yes, thank you. You have a very special job, and I can't wait to see where this takes you to, because the passion that you have for this and your willingness to help people, and you don't seem satisfied. You just keep going. And going.
I'm not.
What can we do next, or how we can help?
There's so much out there, and I go to these different meetings and things like that, and I leave inspired that
Right.
I pick up the phone and I have amazing staff, and I come into the office and I'm like, I have a new idea, and they don't run, but they look at me. They're like, what are we going to do now? Well, I'll tell you a fun story. So child abuse is not a fun topic.
Absolutely not. Right?
Absolutely not. So last summer, or in April, is National Child Abuse Awareness Month. And so I did a Bluey show. But I wasn't Bluey this time.
Okay.
I was actually Bluey's. Bluey and I entertain people. We sing and we dance. I'm a horrible voice, but when you have music on, it doesn't really matter. But the underlying part of the program was that every child should be able to have a youth that they enjoy, should have happiness, and blue pinwheels represent child abuse awareness.
Okay.
Because it's, like you're blowing a pinwheel, it's supposed to be fun and everything. And we packed the house, and we had our outdoor educational, classroom. We had music. I had the Lake County Queens. A variety of them came, and they were the dancers in the back with Bluey and I. And it's just an opportunity to do something fun, but also realize that child abuse prevention is not going to get people into our doors. But being able to give resources and things like that. So the way my mind works is just trying to figure out what to do to bring a story to life.
Sure. Wow, and that's a great way to do it, too. You brought everybody there to have fun, right?
I said fun.
And they appreciate it, but also, like you said, we need to do the best to get them there to bring awareness to it, right?
I do a lot of work with the seniors. I'm active in the Grays Lake Senior Center. I go there once a month, and I do painting with the supervisor.
Oh, cool.
And it's not even the painting, because, again, I'm really not the best artist. It's more about social. It's about social. It's about getting out there, and talking. And there was a lady who had really bad arthritis and very, very poor eyesight, and she didn't think that she could paint. And I'm like, come on, let's try. And one of her friends, I gave her some brushes, and one of her friends is like, paint like me. She was kind of like just big colors and things like that. But she's like, use this brush. It was a thick brush. Use this, use that. So I bring the paint and the paintbrushes and then use your imagination, except for together, they're there to support each other. They're there to help each other. So we've been doing all these paintings for the last few months, and I'm going to say it wrong, Bear Bazaar, not as a grizzly bear, but a Bear Bazaar, which is in downtown Grays Lake. They were having their 10th anniversary event, and the Grays Lake Art Alliance was there.
Yes.
Never met them before. And just happened to be the president and, and a couple other people. And I started talking about how I was talking with their the directors about having a senior gallery, an art show. And she's like, yes. And I'm like, yes. And I talked to, the directors, and they're like, yes. And so this past week, there was an art gallery, and the Art Alliance, they made it beautiful. They had like different levels of the, of their art, and they brought in all of the, I don't know, the wall hangings and things like that. And the seniors were able to not just their painting, but it was pottery, it was their knitting, it was all the different forms of art. They were able to show off what they've been working on for a long time. It's because really cool. Now Art Alliance has connections with the senior center. And again, did I do anything? No. Except for I connected them together.
Right.
And it was so fun to watch the seniors have people appreciate their artwork and how hard the Art Alliance worked with the Grays Lake Senior Center directors to make it happen.
A lot of great people working together.
So good.
Right?
I mean, we live in an amazing community. It's just getting out there and meeting each other, whether it's the chamber or going to an event. We live in these little silos, and there's so much, again, the Art Alliance, because I'm not really into art. I didn't realize what a strong, important connection it is.
Right.
Right.
And I've got to meet the gals. They're fantastic.
Fantastic.
And funny, they were getting ready for that because I had to speak at the senior center last week, and I went in, and they're doing great stuff over there too.
Yeah.
That I want to talk to someone over there too, just to say all the things.
Karen and Lupe.
Yes.
They're doing great.
Yes, they are doing great. And more ways to volunteer or help, whether they're seniors or like all the things that you have going on. So there's always ways to help.
Always. Right? And again, the seniors could help the young people. The seniors, when we think of seniors, it's not seniors. It's people really not much older than us.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
Some of them, but the thing is, they all have skills and talents, and they could teach art. They could help other kids. They could read. They could help each other out. It's building that community alliance together to see that everybody has something to help somebody else with. You whatever your skill is, and you have a huge one, being the voice of Grays Lake. You do. I was trying to explain to somebody who you were, and I'm like, you're Mr. Grays Lake. You're the voice of Grays Lake.
That's flattering. Yeah, they have to. I shove it down their throats enough that they have to listen. I really appreciate everything. I'm coming over for the tour. We're going to set it up right after we get off. I want to come over and probably should have done that beforehand. Then I would have. But I'll make a post. We'll do a little quick video.
But now I kind of teased you, right? Where you have to come.
At least I know what I'm a little bit more educated. Anything else you want to mention before we sign off? But I want to encourage people, to get a hold of Michele. We need more volunteers. Get out there, make a difference. We're going to try to set up some stuff, too. Let's help get some more food over there.
Excellent.
That would be wonderful, like anything they can do. So Grays Lake, this is the time I know during the holidays, like we spoke, a lot of people want to come forward and do nice things because they're in the holiday spirit. We need to carry that through the whole year, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, especially food-wise. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Grays Lake, no matter where you guys are listening, do me a favor today and subscribe on whatever platform you're on, whether you're on Spotify, whether you're on Apple, whether you're on Google or YouTube, wherever the heck you're at. Hit the subscribe button because that way every week you will be notified of a new guest that's on. And I think that really helps build community, bring everybody together. And as I always end, especially this time of the year, we never know what our friends, our family, anybody's going through. So get out there, do 1, 2, 3 random acts of kindness today, whether it's just picking up the phone and calling an old friend. There's so many lonely people out there that just a smile or opening the door and just being kind to people. And kindness spreads like wildfire. So Grays Lake, once again, thank you guys for listening. Michele, thank you again. In Grays Lake, we will see you all next Tuesday.